All right, FYE team, this is my final installment of the first 2 weeks of planning your FYE courses. I'm going to miss everyone. Just kidding. I may continue to do this if you like them, so hit that like button and subscribe. Just kidding. All right, so day 4 of week 2, you're wrapping up week 2 and wrapping up module 1. The day 1 summary, I'm just going to go back just to catch us up. The day 1 summary, the main goal was to get through the Start Here page and prepare them for the FYE orientation module. And that most important part was the course policy quiz, because they can't do the rest of the course without passing that quiz with an 80% or better. The day 2 summary, your goal was to get through to review the FYE orientation topic folders. Again, they should have come to class already have done that. This is just review. The suggested graded activity in the ALC, or is the ALC in the essential questions topic folder. And again, make sure they know how to take their true talent assessments, because that's due on the Sunday. And then you're moving into the second week of the course and day 3. And the goal is for students to understand the mission of Module 1, that they're going to build a personal study plan. So another goal is to begin your graded activity for the week, that 25-point activity. This is only a recommendation, but we recommend the time spent on coursework outside of class. Why? Because it's an easy formula for them to figure out in class. It's either 2 or 3 times the number of credit hours they're taking, and then they should lay that out on the schedule somehow, or just conceptualize what that actually means to the rest of their busy lives, right? Okay, so now you're in class on day 4, and your objectives are to talk about that, what makes a good weekly schedule. They should have already completed the ALC. That means they've created a schedule, right? So if they did the ALC and what makes a good weekly schedule, then they will have effectively created their study schedule. One that they should modify. They should definitely modify. Let them know that, everybody changes their schedules around. So that's important. And then creating a proper study space. Again, if they've created their, or if they completed the ALC, they've created their learning environment, and they got these details from their true talent assessments, specifically their learning and productivity assessment. So again, the ALC in this folder directs them specifically to I'm going to hire an editor one day. So the ALC here, and why is a study space important, shows them right there how to access their true talent reports, so that they're not just pulling this out of thin air. And then, of course, then the next topic in the folder is the holding yourself accountable. And again, this is just an active learning on creating some sort of statement or mantra that they can use to help them adhere to their study plan, right? We all like motivation quotes or sayings, and so we're asking students to come up with something that holds them accountable. But again, if they've done the ALC, then they've already come into class with their accountability statement, and that makes for a pretty good discussion, right? Before you leave that class, you should definitely go over the Module 1 review. And again, I would just play that video, making sure that they know what the module review is. Again, it's right here. You could just play it in class if you want. And then definitely make sure that you walk through the Module 1 exit ticket, each step of it. And then probably you want to watch the exit ticket 1 video. So, and then show them some examples again, because that'll probably be the last time you see them before they submit their study plan. So, okay, so for next class, I would have them review the Module 2 synopsis, because that's what we're going to cover is Module 2, and I would have them complete the ALCs for a couple of these. Again, I'm going to hire an editor someday. So in Module 2, there's the synopsis, and I'm recommending that they do the community college experience ALC, and then you can tackle the rest of those in class on starting next week. But again, you probably want to prepare them for what they need to do. Just remind, here's the assignments that are due on 9/11. Again, they should be following the schedule. They also have this in their Blackboard calendar. Again, you would probably want to put this in your announcements. Okay, some notes. So they've already built their study plans if they've done their active learning cycles, and so do not let students be overwhelmed by the format of their plan. Like some students will say, well, I'm not good with computers, or I don't know how to use PowerPoint, or I've never used any of these tools. That's okay, because that's what the Word template is for, and so there's nothing wrong with using the Word template as a way to break down the exit ticket, and they'll offer them the opportunity to do that. This is exit 2, but just as an example, again, these are the nuts and bolts of what we're asking them for. So don't make them feel like they need to create something fancy when they don't. You can encourage them to, but I mean the actual exit ticket here is valuable. So I mean, even if they just printed this off and carried it around with them, it's a checklist of things that they need to do. So anyway, I just wanted to make that note, not to let students freak out about the format. The other thing, again, just keep reinforcing them to do the ALCs, and that'll help them build exit tickets. If there's one way to compare what they're doing versus a traditional class, you might remind them like, hey, we're not assigning you to read an entire chapter before you come to class. We're inviting you to pick what you want to read and watch so that you get what you want out of that information. So, I mean, I feel like we're giving students a lot of control over their learning, and that's the way we like it. So again, that's the final point, is that that while they do have control over what they read, they do have to interact with the content in the modules or the topic folders, right? They have to be interacting with the information in here, whether it's the chapter or an article or a video, because otherwise they won't be able to complete their module review. So we've taken literally questions from the text and put them in the module review, and we tell them where to go in the text to look for that information. But the point is that if they think they're getting out of reading or watching the content, they're not, because they need it in order to do the module reviews. And the module reviews are worth the same as the exit tickets. So keep that in mind. Like, you can do a really good exit ticket, get 100% on it, and maybe you just bomb the review part of it, and you get a 50 out of 100, and so that's, you cut yourself in half right there. So just remind students that module review is no joke. So, okay, well, I think that will take us through the first 2 weeks of the course. And again, these Word templates, you're more than welcome to use them for to paste into announcements, or however you want to let students know your agenda. Again, I know that we use this as our overall agenda, but I'm guessing that you guys are breaking down what's going to happen during a day, and then maybe summarizing what you did in class, so that if students weren't there. But long story short, we're asking you to post 2 announcements per week, and this is a pretty decent structure to think about using. And so that's it. Those are the first 2 weeks. So let me know. I'm interested to see what you think, and be more than happy to answer any specific questions for you. All right.